Hey guys, welcome back to more AFK Arena. So are we entering the meta of the Summoner? I don't think so. I'm going to go through my arena of trials at 200 level deficit where I was trying some different stuff. We'll go through it, show you what I found so far in testing Navanti, Navanthi, however we say it. Some people were telling me it's pronounced with the TH. Some people are saying it's silent H. I have no idea. We'll just continue on. Lilith, stop giving them hard names to pronounce, please. Anyway, let's jump into the arena of trials. So my guild trial, let's jump into it. So I know all these win, so we're just going to have a look at it and talk about it. Now, it is only a 200 level deficit. At 300 plus level deficit, you're probably looking at throwing her in Ulna Grazul, and that's about it. You can probably throw her into other meta teams because she is a fairly decent support with good energy regeneration based off her ult, and she generates her own energy really fast. So I think she's a good splashable healer support unit. I think she's just going to be a great unit all round in meta teams. But obviously we all want to see something different. We want to try new things. And with her abilities leaning towards summoners, it was like, are we going to get something useful out of the summoners basically? Now, obviously, Grazul's good anyway, so he's just going to get better. The others, I don't think so. There is one exception that we'll get into that I think I kind of had fun with, and I'll keep exploring. And if you guys have any teams you want me to try with her, anything you want to see, let me know. But I think I pretty much covered all the big summoners in this one. So, this one. We're doing no longer Ulna Grazul, let's do Ulna Baden, was the idea behind this one. Once again, we're only at 200 level deficit, which isn't crazy, so it's not that much, but I just put, so what I did was I wanted to put the Isabella in here. We all know Isabella's wicked. She looks sick. She's actually really solid in non-formatted forms of the game, like Battle of Blood and stuff like that, because when enemies don't have a fully formed team, she can actually deal a lot of damage. But once you look at PvP and stuff like that, she's too easy to counter. In PvE, she doesn't scale well enough, so she doesn't really do crazy damage, but at low deficits, she can really melt teams. So I wanted to compare Baden's damage to Isabella based on this. Like, if he demolishes Isabella in damage, I'd be like, okay, this is really doing something. But let's just jump in. Let's have a look. So, fairly basic team. We just dropped the Odin out and brought the Isabella just so I could have that secondary damage dealer who we know doesn't do crazy amounts of damage, but like, she's still solid. I just love Isabella personally. But you know, the whole idea was to see if we could really stack the Baden clones. The other thing is, anything with like Baden and Grazul specifically, because they summon so many, you know, additional dudes, like I think like that in itself is handy, because then you can apply more root effects. Because you can see down the bottom there, down the bottom of screen, his phantoms are applying that root effect. So it's extra CC as well, which don't count out. But when we look at the damage, Baden not quite getting up to the damage of the Isabella in this one. Low deficit, meaning Isabella is going to do decently well, but still I would have expected a lot more damage out of the Baden. Once again, this is one test. We can keep testing things. Moving on from that, let's jump into the next team. And this one was basically just testing Awakened Solace, and because she has summons, but honestly, this just turned out to be an Awakened Solace face roll, basically, is pretty much what you can do, because all we do here is Awaken Soul's ults and then stuff dies. So, you know, like, not instantly, it's not super low deficit, but it's low enough deficit that, you know, eventually that pulsing is just going to kill things. And I don't actually think that the benefit of having the buffed summons was really doing that much. So, you know, take that one with a grain of salt. So that's that one. Next one, okay, so this one I wanted to test normal Solise to see what normal Solise could do. And obviously we try and avoid it, because once again, if we want to just do meta teams, we can just splash her into meta teams at higher deficits and go, oh, it works in the meta team. But I just wanted to try different stuff. Now, I went with Totem Dude thinking about the totems. I'm not too sure on how the buffs work with the totems still. I slowed it down, I couldn't see it. But not too sure. Obviously, Solise summons her flowers. That's going to be a thing. And we put Spearboy in there just because I didn't have enough damage if I didn't bring another damage dealer. So that pretty much sums up what happens with normal Solise. She just doesn't have the damage, especially against this team with 2 healers and a shielder. You know, we needed the damage. We needed to snipe some things. So that's why I brought Spearboy. I'm actually... like, I like Spearboy. It's just at high deficits, he really sucks. Pretty much falls into the category of almost every hero inside AFK Arena. So, you know, is what it is. So, This one, we'll check the damage at the end. Did I check the damage on the last fight? I can't remember. Let's just do this. Oh, yeah, I did. That was the way I can solve this one. But as you can see, like, we actually survived pretty fine in this. Like, no issues with the survival, but it was a highly sustaining enemy team, like tanks and healers, basically. So we weren't really going to have that issue. So that is that one. Like I said, I do like the Spear Boy. I just... You know, this is, I speak about this all the time with people. It's like, the problem with AFK Arena was that they introduced units with immunities and max HP scaling damage, and it just sort of phased out everything else because we pushed to such high deficits that anything else without those types of things or some gimmick is quite useless, which is very sad to me. But, you know, it is what it is. So let's check damage. As you can see, Spear Boy absolutely dominating Solise in damage. You know, it's not she's not helping Solise. She's not going to make Solise viable. That is that. Moving on to I'm going to leave that one for last. So this one here, I was testing Peggy. Now, Peggy, I forgot to mention Peggy in my previous video when I talked about her and what she could work with, and everyone was saying Peggy. So I decided to try Peggy, and I got really excited because in something like, is it War of Wits or is it Fight of Fates? I think it's Fight of Fates. Like, Peggy solo, really good. Like, really good as just a solo 1v1 unit. Everything else, meh. And I thought, like, maybe this would be, like, the viability spike for Peggy. As soon as I saw it in the comments, I'm like, yes, let's try Peggy. I tried Peggy with so many things. I had to put Scarlet in this team just to get some damage. Like, Peggy just doesn't do damage. Peggy's just tough. Even at this deficit, we couldn't get her to do damage. So let's just jump into this one. Obviously, Scarlet. Scarlet's pretty meta. I just had to throw something in there to get the win. Like, I tested so many teams. I spent probably 20 minutes on Peggy alone because I really wanted Peggy to work. And, yeah, I just kept getting timed out or just finally dying. I just couldn't get the damage out of Peggy that I wanted. Which kind of sucks because Peggy's like one of those really unique characters that I really want to be amazing. But we just can't get there. Like I had like, I ended up having like Peggy with Rosaline and, what's her face? Rain, like just trying to buff Peggy's damage. And like we were just getting timed out, which was really frustrating. But that is that one. As you can see, Scarlet carrying it, but Peggy doing jack, really. We had, what's her name? Sonia, like dying super early, still creeping up to that damage. Morrow's doing more damage. When Morrow's doing more damage than you know, you suck. So Peggy, I don't think we're going to get a Peggy meta. If we do, I will love to show you because I really want it to happen, but I don't think we're going to get there anytime soon. So this is the team that I like the most. Now, we've got Mishka with her Wolves. We don't really care about that, but Kayleen is one that I think could be the most viable out of the summoners besides Grazul and obviously Awakened Solise, who are all both like very viable themselves. I think like, yes, like her hounds, I'm pretty sure that she counts for this. We'll see if we get some rooting effects here, but you know, I actually like her because her ult, if you can get the enemies stacked up, it can do quite nicely. So the idea in this team that I went with was use Kanissa and Rook to group the enemies up. The Tassie's going to teleport. Hopefully, eventually she ends up in there. And that way, we'll end up using Kayleen's ult, and the two ults will be combined on the same area, which means we'll get some extra damage. We put Fane in there for some extra control, and just to keep enemies back. So the idea is, like, you know, even if the Tassie comes, we can just keep those enemies at bay is the idea there, and have a bit more control. So let's jump in. We'll put it on 1x speed. I didn't actually watch this over to see if we were getting the root effects from her thingamabobs attacking. Are we getting it? Is that the root effect? I can't quite see, because I may be wrong and we may just not even get the root effect. Maybe hers don't count as summoned, but I feel like they should. Surely. Okay. I honestly don't know if Kayleen's Hellhounds count, because I'm not seeing the entangling roots come out here. But everything's grouped up, so it's hard to see. But nonetheless, the Kanissa Rook synergy with Kayleen, I do kind of like. So this is something I want to expand on. So what I might do is we might come back and we might try this You can see that the Tassie has 3 stacks of the debuff. So I believe Tassie teleported out of a route. So you could see stacks of the debuff, but that could have been from Mishka and her wolves. So what I want to do is let's just go into that team again, and let's take the Mishka out and let's put like a Gorvo in. Let's just put a Gorvo in. He's in team 2. Okay, so let's do that. And let's see if we can get those stacks happening. So let's just go here. Boom. Now, do we see any... Okay, we do see you see the little flower thing on top of enemies' heads? That means they're getting it. So they must be getting rooted and I just can't see it. That must be what's happening. So they are getting that applied, and I believe that is only the summoners that can do it. No, that's the other debuff. I don't know, guys. I don't know. I really hope that these things do apply it. What if we try it without the grouping? What if we try something very basic, and we just put like, if we just put like I'm just literally trying to see if we can get a root effect. Because let's just jump out of here quickly. Let's check it. When a new summoned entity from an ally appears in the battlefield, Navanti grants Mark of Nature. Effect to the summoner and the summoned entity. When dealing damage to the target, imposes a restriction on the enemy hit, which can say... Okay, so it was this debuff. So they must count. They must count. I believe they do. So let's just jump back in there. And let's try that at a bit of a higher deficit and see where we can take this. So let's go like 250. Let's go at 250 level deficit. Let's see if this goes. So once again, we'll go to this one. We'll drop you. We'll put the Mishka back in. And let's see if we can make this work at a 250. I'm going to say we can't. I'm going to say our team isn't quite there for it, but let's just see. So we get those stuns. We're about to ult. We did lose the Mishka, unfortunately. So unfortunately with these things, we can't just RNG retry to try and get it to work, which kind of sucks, but we can mix this stuff around. Oh, you don't even have one. Okay, let's get some protection. Let's get the barricade on there. And we'll leave Waistband Resilience on Mishka because she needs the survival apparently. And let's see how this goes. Like, so... Mishka should get an ult here, please. There it is. Stuns. Okay, she's dying too quick. Maybe we got to change up that support from Fane. Let's just do this. See how long we last. See how much Kayleen can do. But yeah, I don't think we're getting the damage we need at these higher deficits either. So, honestly... okay, summary of what I think from very early testing. We're only like 2 hours, 3 hours after she's come in for this test. Basically, what I think is, I think she's one of those support heroes that due to her ultimate granting that extra energy, which is really, really solid, and just the general buffing that she can do, I think she's going to be a good general support, like a splashable support into just about any of the meta teams. I think Grazul is where she's going to be most synergistic. But outside of that, I don't think she's going to create a summoner meta. I don't think there's going to be any summoner teams that are going to stand up except for Grazul, who was already standing up anyway. That is my initial thoughts. I'll keep testing. I'll definitely do more testing on Chiasma as well. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Cheers.